State officials think they have discovered the source of a dangerous natural gas leak. We've told you about it. It's plagued a neighborhood near 106th and 145th East Avenue in Owasso for some 2 years. Fox 23's Rick Maranon reporting live for us with what they've found now, Rick.
And we've been with this family for more than 13 months, and we've watched as they thought the gas leak was right there where you see that net fencing. However, today we learned that the gas actually came over and seeped over into their land from this house right here. Bubbling up from this hole in Owasso is believed to be the answer to so many questions. Tuesday, Oklahoma Corporation Commission gas inspectors believe they found an undocumented and uncapped gas well from the early 1900s that has been causing health and living issues for at least 4 families in the Lake Valley neighborhood.
It should be gone in the next 2 weeks if we can get the well plugged.
Supervisor Bob Scott tells me he's seen this problem before, and it will likely happen again to another Oklahoma family because of our state's rich oil drilling history.
They should be able to get their gas back because we can tell Oklahoma Natural that we have found the source and plugged it.
The Corporation Commission originally told me they would have to wait until July to look for the source, when the state gives them more money. But that's not the case now that an active well has been discovered.
I wasn't aware of it, but I'm really concerned about it.
Some neighbors have regretted buying their homes nearby.
I wished I hadn't moved here.
For Casey Murphy, whose family has been at the center of the leak, she is relieved a solution has been found, but she says she'll believe it's over when the bubbles are all gone.
I don't know what to say anymore. I just want it to be taken care of, and I want to be able to live in a home with no worries of blowing up or depleting our oxygen.
The Oklahoma Corporation Commission tells me they were going to start excavating in the back of this house today. However, as you can see on my glasses, there is light rain falling, and as you've heard, Tropical Storm Bill is on its way. They were worried that if they started to dig, the well that is underground would end up underwater, so they're going to hold off for a few days. Reporting live in Owasso, I'm Rick Maranon, Fox 23 News.
For more than 2 decades, one type of plane, the MD-80, has provided work for thousands of workers at the American Airlines maintenance base at Tulsa International Airport. But many of those planes are leaving and never coming back. Fox 23's Rick Maranon boarded the final flight of one of those MD-80s to show you where they end up. It's a story you'll see only on Fox 23.
The sight of an American Airlines McDonnell Douglas MD-80 is usually no big deal at Tulsa International Airport. But for American Airlines tail number N575AM, it's time for the old bird to spread its wings and fly out of green country one last time.
We'd like to welcome our first-class customers.
After picking up its last official load of Tulsa passengers, N575AM taxis out to 18 left, and as it revs up for takeoff, its wing passes by the American Airlines maintenance base one last time with no fanfare or final goodbye.
This is the last flight for this aircraft. It's been a great workhorse for American Airlines for a long time.
575 would have a busy day of making money after it dropped me off at DFW. It went to Oklahoma City twice and Nashville before spending one last night in the Lone Star State. The next morning, it's the end of the line. The door is closed, the plane is empty, and for the final time, 575 leaves for its final resting place. Over the past 24 years, more than 4 million people have sat in these chairs, and at the same time, every button, every door, even the chairs and the floor have all been repaired or replaced in Tulsa. Flying 575 are 2 Tulsans who had made their career pushing the MD-80 to the brink and making sure that each one coming out of Tulsa was ready to fly again.
Being the last flight, I tend to get a little bit sad about that, just thinking about the aircraft and the number of years that it's been flying around.
David Hensley and Gary Beam have together spent decades in cockpits just like this, making sure the workhorse of the fleet was fit for service each time it was repaired.
I was told at one time that if you were to take our MD-80 fleet and break it out into its own airline, it would have been like the 3rd or 4th largest airline in the world.
Hensley describes 575's career with nostalgia because of the skill it takes to pilot the plane, originally designed back in the 1970s. He says it's truly a one-of-a-kind experience because it requires pilots to actually use the controls and fly.
This aircraft is truly fly-by-wire. It really has wires that are connected to all the flight controls. The new aircraft are fly-by-wire, but it's electronic.
After an hour, we land in Roswell, New Mexico, the aircraft boneyard, the place where planes go to die. Once queen of the skies, this 747 is now meeting the sharp edge of an axe. At Roswell, planes are scrapped and harvested for parts. With American replacing all of its MD-80s with more modern and fuel-efficient planes by 2017, it was only a matter of time before 575 met the fate of other Super 80s just like it.
It's kind of sad now that it's at the end of its life. It was flying people yesterday. A couple hundred people flew on it, and then here it is today that's it.
Gary Beam has the honor of putting in the final farewell message in 575's logbook. He respects the machine and everything it's done, not only for his employer, but for Tulsa. And after a stroke of the pen, it's time to say farewell. 575 will have its American markings blotted out and will wait in the desert with its sisters until it too will be scrapped for parts.
You get used to flying a certain airplane and it becomes kind of a part of you. It's kind of an extension of you, and the Super 80 is definitely that way with me now.
In Roswell, New Mexico, covering news that matters, I'm Rick Maranon, Fox 23 News.
New at 9, changing the rules when it comes to panhandling in Tulsa. Fox 23's Rick Maranon reporting live for us with what the city is considering may not stop panhandlers from begging. Rick?
And Clay, Tulsa City Councilors are thinking of increasing the fine for illegal panhandling by $100. However, I hit the streets and spoke with Tulsa's homeless community, who tells me you can fine them whenever they want. They still don't have the money to pay for it.
Try to find work, can't find work, can't do something.
Charlie Kilborn is disabled, unemployed, and homeless. Panhandling at the intersection of 15th and the BA Expressway is his main means of finding money for food.
It's not a way of living. It's embarrassing. When I first got here, every time I get out here, it's embarrassing.
But the city of Tulsa says there are too many people like Charlie, and next Thursday, city councilors will consider making it tougher to panhandle. Right now, the fine is only $50 for panhandling in Tulsa city limits, but city leaders are worried this is too low to actually send a message that it's illegal, which is why they want to increase the fine to $150 and make sure it hits home.
What would you rather us do, go break into places, or would you rather give us $1?
Under the I-244 bridge in West Tulsa, I met a man we'll call Alan. We aren't using his name or showing his face because he says the city of Tulsa has multiple municipal warrants out for his arrest. Not for major crimes, but because he can't afford to pay his numerous panhandling tickets. He tells me asking for money is freedom of speech, and if he goes to jail, it will be you and not him that pays for his needs while he sits behind bars.
I don't have the money, sir. Like I said, we go to jail. You guys are the taxpayers are going to feed us. They're going to clothe us.
Back in Midtown, Charlie tells me he'll take his chances. He says when he had a house, a job, and a car, he too thought panhandlers were lazy, and warns you too could easily be in his shoes.
Try to do the best I can. I'm not against, I'm not making fines. I've had 3 myself.
And city councilors were set to hear this tonight. However, they have moved that up to next Thursday so they can have more time to consider it. Reporting live in downtown, covering news that matters, I'm Rick Maranon, Fox 23 News.
We now want to go live to Pensacola Dam, where folks nearby are getting ready for a very rough night. Fox 23's Rick Maranon is live, where he just learned of more gates GRDA officials plan to open up. Rick.
And Jonathan, they have sounded the sirens again, letting people know they are opening more floodgates. Right now there are 7. I'm expecting an 8th or even a 9th to open up. And as well, we have also received the flash flood warnings on our phones as well out here because of the additional water being released. And we are expecting an update as to whether voluntary evacuations will become mandatory now that more water is being released here shortly.
It's kind of amazing, but I'm worried about people downstream.
What was pretty to look at for some turned out to be ugly for others. So what's going to make it or break it for you?
Get into my house.
The Grand River Dam Authority and Spavinaw firefighters evacuated nearly a dozen families living along the Grand River, 3 miles downstream from the Pensacola Dam. The dam's floodgates were open to make sure that upstream, Grand Lake did not spill over its banks any more than it already has and begin flooding lakeside communities.
I expect the water levels will continue to rise at least to probably midnight or so.
Grand River Dam Authority CEO Dan Sullivan tells me evacuations are not mandatory right now, but they are assisting any residents who ask for help. Sullivan says between now and midnight, water discharges will increase and the water level will be getting higher, and they will wait to see if voluntary evacuations will become mandatory later on.
We sent out messages last night. We had our officers come out and give personal messages to each one of the homes down here to tell them that the water was rising. And so far we've only had one that I'm aware of that's refused to evacuate.
Resident Jay Patterson watched as his neighbors headed for higher ground and says residents know the risk of living along the river, which is why their houses sit up on piers. But they are hoping that the worst is behind them and the waters will recede quickly. Do you have a bag packed or something like that just in case?
No, if it gets that high, they can have it.
And I do want to clarify something that you just saw. We interviewed Patterson when there were only 4 floodgates open. There are now 7, with a possible 8th or 9th that are about to open. It's likely that the water has risen in his neighborhood even more. As for a specific place to evacuate, there is not one, but if you need help, you are asked to call emergency officials immediately, and if you don't have a place to go, they will find one for you. Reporting live in Mays County, covering news that matters, I'm Rick Maranon, Fox 23 News.
Fixing the road, but damaging businesses. Restaurant and shop owners at 51st and Sheridan are struggling to hang on until the holiday season with major road construction nearby. New at 9, Fox 23's Rick Maranon is live with one business owner's efforts to get answers from the city of Tulsa.
And Shay, business owners here at the Farm Shopping Center say it is scenes just like this. This is the driveway leading into the shopping center. They say scenes like this cuts them off from their customers, and when they've called the city, they feel cut off with little to no answers.
I'm definitely feeling stress. You definitely see the numbers change, and then we had a packed lobby to an empty lobby, so that's very frustrating.
Amy Smith owns the Great Harvest Bread Company at 51st and Sheridan. Lately, chairs that used to be filled for meal times are empty. Businesses in the Farm Shopping Center feel the city of Tulsa is forcing them to live with dirt-poor revenue now that the city is moving dirt and working on the road nearby.
It doesn't feel like there's an end in sight, so if we had more information, it might be a little better.
There are usually 4 driveways open to get into this shopping center, but most of them look like the one behind me. They're all closed off because of construction, and now there is only one way to get in this shopping center if you are on Sheridan.
You know, we want our streets. Everybody tells us they want street work. But we also want to avoid that, and that this is one of the results. If too many people are avoiding the Farm Shopping Center, those businesses in there, may not last.
Tulsa City Councilor Anna America tells me her office has been flooded with business owners, saying drivers are avoiding the area because of construction, and in turn avoiding their shops. America is asking city officials to meet one-on-one with business owners and address their concerns while pushing residents to shop normally in the area.
You could be the difference between that business still being here a couple months from now or having to shut down.
And this project is already facing delays, I'm told. The new delayed deadline should be 1 week before Thanksgiving if nothing else gets in the way of construction crews out here. Reporting live in South Tulsa, covering news that matters, I'm Rick Maranon, Fox 23 News.